As you know, Android phones are very exciting. But do you know there are many worst Android phones? So in this video, let's talk about some of the worst Android phones. And first in the list is HTC Evo 3D. When this phone was launched, 3D technology was very popular at that time. So HTC thought that why not launch a 3D phone with 3D display and 3D camera. And it also had a front-facing selfie camera. As well, you could take 3D photographs with its camera and you could enjoy 3D videos on its 3D display. But there was only one problem with this phone, that it had no real use. Means there wasn't any practical use of its 3D technology, but it was just nice to see. But above all, its hardware wasn't so powerful, as well its software wasn't well optimized. And that's why after that we never saw 3D phones. So with this, HTC Evo 3D is one of the worst phones. And now let's talk about Samsung Continuum phone. And this phone was the first that had dual display. Means it had a normal display on the top and a small display at the bottom, where you used to see different notifications. But Samsung never opened API for its second display. Means apps could not use its second display. As well, its screen size was very small, but due to its second display, the size of its main display became more small. But people did not have good experience with this phone and it became one of the worst phones. Now let's talk about the first 4G LTE phone, and I'm talking about HTC Thunderbolt 4G. And this was the first 4G LTE phone of that time, but its 4G signals were very bad, and this phone also used more battery power, and it also had more heating issues, and HTC had to come forward and say sorry that they have made a useless phone. With this, it is also one of the worst phones. And next is Motorola's first Android phone, which is Motorola Click. This phone had a physical keypad and you had to slide it to get it out. But this was not a problem with this. In fact, due to its physical keypad, it became very thick. Also, its display was very small, hence it wasn't easy to use. But above all, it came with Motorola's custom UI, which was Moto Blur. And if you don't know about Moto Blur, then this was the most worst UI in the world, because after few years Motorola discontinued it and they moved to stock Android. So you can understand yourself how was the condition of Moto at that time. And next is Motorola's another phone, which is Motorola Backflip, which was also called Motorola Flip Out in some countries. And the problem with this phone was its design. Means in terms of design, it was the worst phone, because its keypad was on the opposite side, and if you keep it straight, then keypad's button will be pressed, because the keypad is on the back side, and if you keep it upside down, scratches could come on the screen. So you can see how badly it was designed, and because of this, it is one of the worst phones. And next in the list is LG Double Play. This was the first dual display phone made by LG. This was also a slider phone. It had a small display at the bottom and there was a keypad on the right and left side of the display. But its software wasn't good. As well, the software was not built in such a way that apps could use it well. And if someone had to type, then it was very difficult. So you can see how little user-friendly phone it was. And let's talk further about another dual display phone, which is Kyocera Echo 3. And this was the first phone in which you got to see slider dual display. Actually, it had two displays. First display had a 4.7-inch screen size and the second display had a 3.5-inch screen size. And Kyocera claimed that it could replace the tablet, but it was not implemented well. But at that time, app developers were not making such apps which could be used in phone with dual display. And as I told you, Kyocera claimed that it could replace tablet, but in reality it didn't even compete with tablet, and that's why this is also one of the worst phones. And now what I'm going to tell you about is the most searched phone on Google in 2016, because its killer feature was its price. And would you like to know how much it was? Well, it was 251 rupees. Yes, you thought right, I'm talking about Freedom 251 smartphone. At that time, it seemed that Ringing Bell company was making a cheap phone with Indian government. But what happened in the end? We all know that this phone proved to be a complete scam, and no one got the phone. Moreover, the owners of this company were arrested, and you can understand how big scam Freedom 251 was. And this teaches us that we should stay away from phones with such concepts. And further, I'm going to talk about that phone which does not cheat us like Freedom 251, but that phone can threaten our life. And this phone, which is famous due to its blast and fire, and I'm talking about Samsung Galaxy Note 7, because when this phone was launched, it was very popular due to its unique features like iris scanner was implemented for first time. But when some reports of this phone were blasted, Samsung recalled it and distributed some new phones. But those phones were also started getting blasted, and after two recalls, Samsung finds that the condition of these phones is very bad and these phones are not safe at all, and all the phones in the market were recalled back. But it doesn't end here, because Mr. Amitabh Bachchan also had Note 7 and his phone even stopped charging. But the good thing is that his phone did not get blasted. But when the blast was about to happen, the Samsung people came and took that phone. So it became a very good thing. But if there was a blast in Amitabh Bachchan's phone, then you don't know what would happen to Samsung. And it had even come to such a point that all the airline companies banned Galaxy Note 7 inside their airplanes, meaning that no passenger could travel in the plane with Galaxy Note 7. And finally Samsung recalled all the Galaxy Note 7 that were in the world, and the loss that Samsung suffered in this whole process was $17 billion. So you can understand that Samsung thought that by selling Note 7 they will make a lot of money, but on the contrary, Samsung got hurt by this. But after that, Samsung launched Galaxy Note 7's fan edition in some countries with safe batteries. But overall, in my opinion, the original Note 7 was a worst phone because it could threaten your life. And this was a list of the world's most worst phones. And what do you think? Which of these phones was the worst? And you can answer this in the comment section below. And if you are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. I will see you in my next video. Take care, guys.